Hello everyone, this is Jack, and this is my post-mortem of my GameDevNet Week of Awesome 2 game, which I called MindField. Had to think for a second there. What I'm going to talk about here is why I made the game and what I originally started as, with an idea, what that idea originally was, what it changed into, and what I actually finished with. So I hadn't been to, well, I had been to GameDevs.net quite a few times, but I wasn't like a member or anything. But then I saw they were doing this game jam, and I'm trying to do more game jams generally now. So, and it was a week long, so I thought, my last one was 3 days. So I thought, I could probably do that. And because it was a week long, I thought I'd do something a bit bigger than I usually do. And in some ways I'm glad I did, in some ways it was painful, but I'm happy now. Now that it's all over and I've got a finished result it's pretty much exactly what I wanted it to be. It's a small game, doesn't take about 10 minutes to finish, even though it took a long time to make. 10 minutes playtime is good for a jam game. I've said this before. And yeah, because I had a week, I thought I'd do something a bit more complicated, and what I did was something I hadn't really done before. I mean, for starters, I don't think I'd made a platformer before at all. Maybe at work. I've definitely worked on them before. I don't know if I've made one from scratch. And I need a drink. Some fetid water there. So yeah, it was a platformer, and what was new to me was the fact that it's not like a randomly generated game. It's not a gameplay game. It's more of a story-driven game. It's heavily scripted. It's very linear. I mean, well, it's not very linear. There's one critical path from beginning to end, obviously, but you can interact with different NPCs at different times and stuff. And if you want to discover that stuff, you can, but you don't have to. So that's some of the NPCs were an afterthought. I mean, they were always meant to be in there, but they're not critical or anything. So the idea originally what the game. Okay, I'll start with what the game was meant to be. The game was originally meant to be, before the jam started, we had an idea of what we wanted to make, and that was a horror game. And we had all these ideas about you're stuck on this submarine, because a submarine is a place where it's deep in the water, it's surrounded by water that you can't get out, and you can't get out of it. So it's like the most secluded place ever, especially if you're there by yourself. But the horror part of it was that you were meant to be there with a psychopath, and he's doing all sorts of weird stuff like cutting off his arms and replacing it with guns and stuff. And the whole idea was you didn't have guns yourself. All you could do was avoid and solve puzzles, and the puzzles were meant to be things like, to get this key to open the door, you have to cut someone open. It was going to be really sadistic and sick, and I'm glad we didn't actually get to do that. I mean, I would like to do something like that, just to say I've done something like that. But well, actually, then I read what the theme for the jam was, and that was toys come alive, and I tried to incorporate that into the horror idea as well. And you're meant to be this guy on a submarine who, like in the actual finished game, gets radiated by the nuclear reactor, and he starts going mad, and he starts seeing things, and one of the things he starts seeing is his own daughter. And then you start seeing all her toys, and you think that she's commanding her toys to try and kill you and stuff, and you have to solve that somehow. But then I started making the game, and about halfway through making it, and after I drew out the map and planned some of the story more, I realised the story worked without seeing the little girl. You could just see the toys, and the crew could be the toys. So I think that made a bit more sense, and it moved it away from being a horror thing. And because when I was making it, it stopped feeling like it was meant to be a horror game. It looked too nice, like too cute, too clean. So it didn't become a horror. It turned more into a slapstick comedy, because that's just how I started writing the character. I didn't have a plan for what he was going to say to other characters. I didn't have a plan for what he was going to, you know, how he was going to react to the different situations we put him in. Or those situations haven't actually changed. Like, he was always meant to go to the reactor, and he was always meant to go to the doctor, and the whole nuke thing at the end, that was all meant to happen. It was just how this character dealt with those situations, and he dealt with them like an idiot, and that's just how, that's probably me coming through into him, so it's like, that's just how he turned out. And then the rest of the characters in the story just sort of followed suit there. All the dialogue just sort of became a bit silly, and some of the things he does, and like the torpedo scene, is like, he has no reason to do that. He has to be the mad one. So yeah, so that's what the game started as and what it turned into. There's nothing on screen here. I kind of feel sorry about that. Let me play it or something while we're doing this. Don't know how long I've been recording this, me just talking nonsense. Okay, here we go. Actually, you can probably turn it up a little bit. Yeah, there we go, some backdrop. So yes, the main menu here was actually well, I'll talk about the art style in general, I guess. So I wanted to do something pixel art because we was originally going to use like spine, the animation tool where you can sort of animate limbs smoothly and all that stuff out of, you know, each limb is a spine, you can move it, and that would have required much higher res graphics, and I was very worried, because we haven't done it before, I was very worried about experimenting and using that and getting that to a point where we're not experimenting with it. Like, I don't think we'd be prepared to use it. So we went back to pixel art, which is what we done in our last game, and we actually went lower res than our last game, and I think this made it better. I mean, it's so much easier to, you know, fit a style with lower res graphics without it being I don't know what's the word, I don't know, but it's a lot easier to set a style and keep that style consistent with lower res graphics and a low, like, few colours in your palette. So yeah, I took a few liberties on the main menu here. Like, these were oh, the mouse is disabled. Okay, so you see the mines, they have smooth edges. They were originally pixelated, but I thought I'd make them smooth just because it made this menu look cleaner in itself. But the submarine is still pixelated. And yeah, X. Okay, let's just try and talk about this. So my job was all the programming and all the map layouts and stuff, and I've done some of the art, like the tile sets and the some of the items here, like the bed and this door and this barrel. But Francis done these characters, and well, yeah, in here, all the tables here and the pipes you see along the ceiling there, and that character. He done all the characters. There is some cool stuff in here, like he drew that. That's really cool, and it really, I tried to make each room look like a big set piece, so it helps with navigating, so hopefully you remember things from their, you know, big graphical cues. Yeah, I just ripped that from the other console. Oh, I can't go in there yet. I was going to show you the engine, because that's one of the best pieces of art in the game, I think. What am I doing? Can't even remember how to play my own game. But yeah, yeah, the graphics are simple, and the animations are pretty simple, but I think they work quite well. And the sound was mostly just me trolling the internet, trying to find something that fit, because as you can hear, the music at the moment is a solo piano, which I always love solo piano because you can always put other stuff on top of it and it always sounds right, if you know what I mean. Like if you have music that's too busy, it's hard to place other stuff onto that. But so yeah, this music I could just use throughout the game, and it makes sense enough. Okay, well, one of the things I'll show you is the reactor. So yeah, Francis drew that as well. Looks pretty cool. There's a room back here with just a guy in it. Yeah, the engine. He also drew the rockets, the rocket at the end. So yeah, there's the engine. That's really cool. So you can see all the pistons of the flames. So I guess I've dare to show you some of the code, like because it was a very scripted game. Like everything, like most of the scenes I had to do by hand, and I needed a way of doing that easily without getting into too many details. So I've got a couple of controller objects here. So some of these do this is a bit mixed actually. So yeah, I've got an object that just handles the screen rumble. That does nothing else other than handle screen rumble for a certain amount of time and a certain strength, and I could just create one of them and it will handle its own destruction at the end of its effect. And same for changing lights, they can change to on, emergency or off, and that works with that sometimes, and it's quite nice. Dialogue, that just pauses the game and someone talks and stuff. Wait is my favourite, like the most used one. It does nothing other than pause the game and wait a certain amount of time, and at the end of that time it can execute a script. And dialogue can also execute a script, so at the end of dialogue, like on the last text bubble, it will execute a script, and that could be a wait. So it's all based on waiting around and executing scripts at the end of that. Now here's every script in the game, so everything here is a scene of the game, or split into sections. So you can pretty much tell the game flow just from reading them. So get me juice, that's the first one, and where you have to get the guy juice, and then he hits the mine. And actually the first ones are a bit hacked. They don't all, of course, like they're supposed to follow this, the quest chain, but the first ones don't. They're just using local variables of the player, which is a bit silly. So yeah, like player has juice, yeah. But everything after that should use the quest chain, and not every single one of them does, because some happen like sequentially, so they'll all happen at once. And while this is a bit messy, it was very easy to add them in. So I was surprised, considering I hadn't done it before. This worked quite well and quite easily. I probably wouldn't do it like this again. Like if you look in here, I should have put this in scripts, things like changing lights and maybe, no, not that one. Yeah, just waiting around. Like I use that wait a lot, and I could have put that in a script that just took those as parameters. But I was silly enough and I just stuck with my habit and just kept creating an instance and defining it the long way. So if I was to further work on this game, I would have to go through and change all that to scripts, so it'll take up a lot less space. Like there, because I use so many of these at once just to set off a series of explosions. It could have been a lot neater than that. It could have been a lot worse as well, but what else can I talk about? There's nothing really in here. Yeah, there was actually more enemies we were supposed to add, but there was supposed to be a car. At the moment, most of the enemies, you jump over them. The car was meant to actually jump up at you, so you couldn't avoid it that way, and you had to use the duck. The player can duck, so you was meant to wait for this car, it would start charging at you, and then it would jump, and then you'd have to duck to avoid it, and that would be the only way you could get past it. But because I was going to add it quite late on in development, all the rooms were already there, and there was no really long flat area to put them on, so I just left the car out in the end. I mean, you don't even see the doll really unless you go to the kitchen at, near the end of the game. The unicorn is the toughest guy there. Oh, and there are a few trains. They probably killed me the most, trains. You have to sort of overcome the fact that you think you're fast and actually time it properly. They catch you off guard a lot. Oh god, the doors. Oh my word. So this probably took quite a while. I tried to get it all done in one night. Like half of these were all done in one night. So as you can see, some of these are actually named intelligently, but these, ah, god, I don't even know what I was thinking when I started doing it, and I don't know what I was thinking when I continued doing it. Just naming them all A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It was just mental. But so yeah, you can see in game here, well in the room editor, it just has OBJ passage C on the side and OBJ passage A, and you can actually go into these. So the way I link them up is in the create event. You give them a target room and the door within that room that they're supposed to spawn at, and on what side of the door they're supposed to spawn at. And if the door is restricted, which is conditional, so you can say if you haven't done this part of the quest yet, you can't go in. And if it's restricted, the player will automatically walk away and say, oh, I don't think I could go in there. But yeah, setting all that up took a while. But luckily, let me just try and find the map here. Hold on, what's it doing? What? What the hell? My internet's just done something weird. I don't know what that's doing. Okay. Hold on, maybe if I actually go to one of... There it is, drive. Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, here's my map. So this is something I don't usually do either. I don't usually plan this much ahead. And that sounds silly, but I don't. But I will in the future, because it was really, this was really helpful in just thinking ahead in the story a little bit. So I planned out all the way to the end, even before I'd done the first 2 missions maybe. And these rooms were only added on at the end because I realised I needed them. So yeah, actually, because I added these 2 rooms, I had to add 2 new doors, one to each of these, and because there was 2 doors that looked exactly the same in each corridor, it was impossible to tell. So like here, it was impossible to tell which one was which. Even I forgot, even though I placed them. So I had to go through and make these new tiles that tried to represent what that room was. So my tile set, yeah, as you can see, it's 16 by 16. It's really small. So yeah, so the 2 hardest ones to make here were the phone, which just looks like some sort of rotten banana, and the piston, which I'm quite happy with because that does fit in a really small space. So yeah, Francis drew those bits, I drew the kitchen bits. I also changed this from my development videos. This used to have seams in it, was a bit lighter, so I got rid of the seams and added a little bit of a shadow there, and lowered the contrast of this and made it a bit darker so it felt more like a background. So yeah, I don't know what else to talk about really. Oh, I've just got rid of that other thing. Had a list of things I could talk about and I just killed it. So things. Oh yeah, I remember the things I've learned from making this game. I'm not sure what I've learned, to be honest. Like I said, I haven't made this kind of game before, but I didn't learn how to make one while I was doing it. I kind of had an idea at the start, so I feel like I've just expanded on my experience a little bit, which is good. And I know I have a template in my mind now of how to go about making a game like this, which I didn't before. Like a linear, especially scripted game. So, and I look forward to making another one like it, because because next time I'll have a better idea of doing it, and I'll be able to do it a little bit faster, I hope. So even if it's not a completely scripted game like this, you know, just having a few little cutscenes here and there in any game would be nice. And I now have an idea in my mind of how to do it. So yeah, I don't know, that's my post-mortem. I haven't done a post-mortem before either, so I'm not sure if that was it. Was that right? I don't know. Hope so. Certainly been doing it long enough, I think. And sorry about my voice if that's been a bit weird. Like I said, I need something other than fetid water. Lovely slime. Yeah, the jam in general has been really fun. GameDev.net community is quite, it's really nice, really cool people, and they make a lot of great games. I've yet to play any of them. I'm going to try and do video reviews, hopefully at least one a day. I think there's only, was it like 32 entrances, other people entered, so that's 32 games or something. I'll have to double check, but it shouldn't take me that long to do it. Might do 2 or 3 a day maybe, actually. So yeah, that's my post-mortem. I don't know what else to say, and I don't want to waste any more of your precious time, so thanks for listening, and farewell.